Gunam is a Korean living in China, called Joseon-yuk. He works as a cab driver for his day job. At night, he gambles it all away at a mahjong house. His life is tormented by debt collectors, demanding him to pay back his debt of 60,000 yuan. He's managed to pile up that much debt because his wife had asked him to give her a visa to return to South Korea and work there. She promised to send him money, but had since disappeared. Furthermore, his wife haunts his dreams every night, having an affair in Korea. The frustration of debt and affair piles up in Gunam's head, causing him to explode one night, making a scene in the mahjong house as he picks a fight against a random person. This, however, attracts a group of local gangsters. The next morning, the debt collectors take Gunam to the leader of the local gangsters, Moon. Moon offers to pay Gunam's piling debt. In exchange, Gunam has to go to Korea and eliminate a certain professor named Sung Yun and cut off his thumb, bringing it back to Moon as proof. If Gunam chooses to decline, his daughter and mother will face the consequences. He has no other choice other than accepting the job. Gunam departs to Korea in a rickety fishing boat and is also given $500 from Moon for his future expenses. Upon arriving, Moon's smugglers give the address of Gunam's boat back to China and tell him that he has 10 days to finish the job. Gunam spends his next few days scoping out his target. He carefully investigates his target's apartment, while also making time to search for his missing wife. He manages to find some clues regarding his wife's whereabouts, but the deadline for his boat home comes near. He gives Moon a call to ask for more time, but he refuses and hangs up. The night before his boat home, he scopes out his target's home once again from afar. The target finally returns home with his driver. Shortly after, two mysterious people run into the building, ambushing and killing the target. His driver runs in afterwards, with Gunam joining behind. As he arrives to the scene, the two people are dead and turns out the driver had already planned to murder Sung Yun. Gunam and the driver fight each other in the stairwell using their knives, but Gunam's knife work is lacking. He fights the driver with his punches, kicks, and also headbutts. The driver comes close to stabbing Gunam, but he manages to throw the driver down the staircase, causing the driver to die from the fall and the stabs of his own knife. Gunam walks to his target's body and cuts his thumb off, but the target's wife witnesses the tragedy. With the police arriving, Gunam barges into her house, sneaking out the window. The police surround him, but he manages to fall on top of a police car and starts running away. After a wild chase through the road and alleyways, Gunam manages to lose them. The next day, Gunam arrives at the supposed location of his boat back home, but there is nothing there. He tries to call Moon and the debt collectors, but there is no answer. He has been set up and is stuck in Korea, with the police hot on his trail. He decides to take a bus to another city in search of his wife. Elsewhere, a gangster boss named Taiwan receives a phone call from his subordinate that Sung Yun has been eliminated, but Gunam had witnessed it and escaped. He was the one who hired Sung Yun's driver to kill him. His attention is now shifted to Gunam, and sends out his men to find and eliminate him. As Gunam continues his journey, his bus is stopped by the police and is checked. The police immediately notice him and ask for his ID, but he pushes the officer away and beats him up. He then breaks the glass and jumps out of the bus. Gunam manages to escape into the nearby woods, suffering only a gunshot to his arm. As Gunam traverses through the woods to get to the nearby city, Taiwan finds out that he is a Joseon-yuk. Knowing that Gunam will need a boat to return to China, Taiwan orders his men to find information from other Joseon-yuk, using force if they have to. They manage to brutally beat up any Joseon-yuk they could find, keeping them in the basement of Taiwan's company. They receive the information of who the smuggler might be. Taiwan orders his men to go to China and kill Moon. His men manage to infiltrate Moon's hotel, but end up failing the mission as Moon manages to kill all the men, leaving only Taiwan's assistant alive. He uses his hostage to arrange a meeting with Taiwan in Korea, striking a deal between the two of them to kill Gunam and pay Moon 60,000 yuan. Meanwhile, Gunam manages to find one of the smugglers he was with on his first day. He beats him up brutally, kicking him while he's on the ground and hitting his head with a pan. Afterwards, the heavily injured smuggler agrees to arrange another boat for Gunam to return to China via cargo ship. As he waited for the time, he sees reports from the news that a woman matching the description of his wife had been murdered. He calls the police, demanding answers, but the police can't give him such private information. He decides to hire a private investigator to go to the morgue and check the body. The investigator can't tell if it's really his wife, but lies to Gunam, saying that the body is his wife's. Gunam is devastated by the news but agrees to cremate the body, with the investigator delivering her ashes later on. Gunam arrives at the cargo ship at the designated time. He is then taken to a large container and is told to stay inside until they arrive in China. Gunam steps inside, but sees that the contents have Tokyo as their destination, not China. He manages to keep the door from being shut, using his knife to stab the smuggler's arm and starts running back to the shipyard's entrance. However, he sees that a lot of police are there, and Myun also. Myun spots Gunam and climbs over the entrance's fence with his men, running after Gunam. He runs inside one of the ships with Myun's men close by, stabbing any men who try to enter the narrow doors and hallways. Eventually, Gunam is outnumbered and wounded. He decides to jump off the ship, swimming towards the docks. He manages to get inside a truck and starts driving, but some of Myun's men cling onto the door. Gunam punches them off the door and escapes the shipyard. In the chaos, Gunam turns too fast and flips the truck over. He limps out of the truck and gets into his car with Myun and the police right on his tail. Myun tries ramming onto Gunam's car again and again, but causes a big crash on the crossroads. The incident gives Gunam the chance to flee from Myun. Myun and his men then return to their apartment and get some rest. Late at night, Taiwan's men infiltrate the building and start killing Myun's men, betraying the agreement. Myun fights back, however, expertly using a knife to murder Taiwan's men by slitting their necks and stabbing their chest, one by one. He suffers some injuries though, taking a few stabs on his back. Ultimately, he is the last man standing. Myun burns the building down and walks away. His anger towards Taiwan is immeasurable, as he sets his target on him. Wanting to seek assistance, Gunam returns to Sung Yun's apartment and meets his wife. He confesses to her that he wasn't the one who killed his husband. It was his driver. Gunam promises to kill the one behind all of this mess to her. Afterwards, he manages to find Taiwan's assistant and interrogates him. Gunam ties him up and threatens to cut his ear off, causing him to give up his boss's information to Gunam. As he tries to drive off, he is rammed from behind by another car, and is abducted. They put him in the trunk and drive to a secluded place, but Gunam wakes up as they open the trunk and kills one of the goons. The other goon tries to defend himself with a shovel, while Gunam threatens him with a knife. The goon continues to step back from him, then falls from a great height and eventually dies. Gunam then rummages through the goon's car, acquiring a business card of a banker who hired them to eliminate Gunam. Elsewhere, Myun infiltrates Taiwan's headquarters and goes on a killing frenzy, murdering all of Taiwan's men but leaving the main man alive. Myun orders him to hand him his money, but he refuses. As a response, Myun hits him right at the throat, causing Taiwan to cough up a lot of blood. Afterwards, the two of them enter Myun's van. As they start driving away, Taiwan jumps out of the car to run away from Myun, but his leg gets run over by the back wheel. Taiwan starts limping away to try and lose Myun, but his leg injury leaves a trail of blood which Myun can simply follow. At the end of the trail, Myun is ambushed by Taiwan, who hits him from behind with a metal bar. Myun is not down yet, however. Taiwan tries to hit him once more, but Myun manages to stab his leg with a knife. Taiwan grabs a hatchet and lands a couple of hits on Myun. Myun pins him down and breaks his arm, stealing the hatchet from his grip and brutally attacks Taiwan, finishing him off. The bloody Myun gets onto his van and drives away, but he passes out and crashes to the wall, dying shortly after. Not long after the fight, Gunam arrives at the scene and checks the two dead bodies. Taiwan isn't dead yet, but he's dying. With his last breath, Taiwan starts mumbling and reveals that his wife had an affair with Sung Yun, making him target Sung Yun. Gunam meets up with his investigator at a restaurant as his wife's ashes are handed over to him. The next morning, he goes to a bank, trying to find the banker who hired the two goons to kill him. To his surprise, he finds Sung Yun's wife and the banker to be acquainted. Gunam deduces that Sung Yun's wife had hired him to kill her own husband. Both Taiwan and Sung Yun's wife had put the hit on Sung Yun, Taiwan for having an affair with his wife, Sung Yun's wife for cheating on her. He walks out of the bank and goes to a pier and orders a fisherman to take him to China, threatening him with a knife. The fisherman has no other choice. Sadly, in the end, Gunam dies while on his way back home, succumbing to his wounds. The fisherman dumps his body and his wife's ashes to the sea, before sailing away. Subscribe to watch more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like and comment to help the channel out. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.